my thing is, but take two, I got a little bit out of order with what I'm doing. So this was the best episode to me, but so let's just kind of get out of it. So I was going to react to this, but the thing is, I was basically forced to go watch it in theaters. So the Brazil release, dropped, kind of ruined a lot of things for a lot of people. Then people were like, even though really they should have had their entire channels banned because they had a product they weren't supposed to have and saying stuff about it. But like, there was that, and then now the movies. The biggest thing is that I completely understand while a lot of people did not like that the movie was releasing weeks before the YouTube. Because YouTube, it is almost worldwide. It is very, as long as they do decent guidelines, they can be released anywhere, and a majority of people can see it, versus the movie theaters where there's a whole bunch of roadblocks. We had a whole bunch of things where they went back on some deals. And it's just like, not to mention it's like people are constricted time and budgets. It does ruin it for other people. But why I think a lot of people complained is why I'm dealing with it now, and I had to force myself to go watch it at the theaters, because I watch comics and stuff, and I really like to watch and see that kind of thing. And because I'm constantly in the fandom, spoilers and shorts were just like, hey, here you go. This person does this. That person does this. And just, everything was just sprawled out on my YouTube. So I just had to. And that's the issue with a lot of things, is just, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't wait, because the entire internet, unless you are a hermit for the next few weeks, well, for those few weeks, to me it's like 2 weeks, but I'm like, that's ridiculous, man. I feel bad for so many fans who just get ruined it. But anyways, going into things, I have chapters for this video. That way, if you want to know something in particular, there you go. So I guess going into little things of in general, my thoughts on Glitch. So a thing I watched with, I think it was Ostrich Vox or something like that. He's the guy who kind of talks about cartoons in general. I every now and again watch him. He's got a very negative opinion about the Helliverse, which I understand. Same thing with South Park. It's not for everybody. But anyways, he was saying a great point, which was you are basically forcing Glitch to be the only indie showrunners. And the issue with that is Glitch themselves has been saying that they have a particular way about their content, that because other people are wanting to make certain things, they won't be shown on Glitch. And it's unless they fit this particular, it's a bigger category with certain things, but there's only so much you can do in that category. And the issue with a lot of things with Glitch in general is just because of what they want, there's things that are going to hit and miss. Of course, the people have their own opinions, but for example, you want this very cool story-based thing, which I think Knights of Guinevere is probably going to be our biggest one on that. But Digital Circus, fun, entertaining. The story is technically speeding down the track, and it's very hard to do it without theorizing and grabbing every little piece of knowledge. They also have to feed you the story. And then, like, it happens with, like, murder drones, like a blink and you miss it. That is all your lore in, like, a split second or a quick conversation in a sentence. And there's your lore. I think it's happening with a lot of their shows. Like, I personally don't care for Gaslight District. And then I'm, like, meh on Gameoverse. I'll probably do one or two more episodes, and then I'll stop reacting if I don't care for them. Because I'm not going to do that. There's no reason for me to react to something I don't care for. But, like, my whole idea was just, like, because I can't get my lore or my, like, long story told, I have to go look for somebody else, and that's very hard because no one's willing to do it as much anymore. You still see some stuff every now and again, but it is, like, far from, like, 2010s to, like, I think it was, like, early 2020s was when it started, like, hitting a dirt path. Because it's just, like, where's everything going? So, in just general, I think it's just, like, unless Glitch changes, I think, aside from their big boom every now and again, I think while all their content is amazing and beautiful in their own way, there's only so much you can do with it. And then kind of going into part 2, I think Digital Circus in particular has been the worst handled show of their entire catalog. Gameoverse, I didn't even know about it. Apparently it's been teased for a very long time. And then, like, the whole thing I'm seeing is just everyone liking the cat girl. Gaslight District, violence. I mean, the bread guy was pretty cool. And then it's, like, murder drones, pretty, like, on their sleeve humor and whatnot. Pretty cool series. Really liked it. Just, of course, it doesn't reach what Digital Circus was. And then Knights of Guinevere, that's just my style of stuff, and I love that. But, because it's like fantasy. I really like fantasy. But Digital Circus hit a weird thing where, like, I didn't, like, I like horrors and whatnot. And, like, this was like a PG-13 with, like, very, very low PG, like, stuff they did. They earned the title by some stuff. But it's just, this show is just weird where it's just, like, all these other guys, they get, like, passing remarks and stuff. And then this is such a big thing because it's their prized, I can't even say, but it's the one that got the blue ribbon. But it's just the issue is I think they probably should have helped, like, as soon as they saw what it was, they should have seen, they already know how the internet is, and they should have controlled it better. Like, Gooseworks, well, I like, she has a very Scott Cawthon-like relationship with the internet. You know, she'll answer certain questions. She has, like, one-word teases and whatnot. But the issue is, she would talk out, and, like, I think, Miraculous is dealing with the same thing. I mean, Miraculous's stuff, like the whole Pride nonsense, that's just ridiculous. I mean, yeah, the guy should not have came out and said anything, because it's just harmless fun in a corner. I mean, of course, don't spread misinformation, but, like, it's kind of whatever. But, like, the constant interactions that were unfiltered, some of it was unprofessional. Like, for example, the, like, everything coming out and being like, oh, it's been spoiled for everybody, and they're just like, eh. That right there, well, I understand you can speak what it is, but when you have a big release coming, and your main company that you're working with that's releasing this for you and making this for you, I'd be like, I'm sorry, why are you bad mouthing the series we have yet to show in the movie theaters or release? And not to mention all the merch that's going to come out of this. It's like, can you not speak badly until we're done at least? And like, I understand, like, what was it? It was people forcing the three main character thing, which I've spoken on before. It's always been Pomni and Jax. I know Ragatha's a very liked character, and I know, like, she's got some of the most highest interest, and like a lot of people seeing into them. But it's literally telling you where the mentality is. Where Pomni is our newcomer, she's a lot more adjusted than the rest, versus Jax, who's kind of like, he's in deep, like, he's not forgetting himself like Kinger, but like, he's basic delusional. But it's just like, now that kind of whole thing happened, we really need to get on our hands and knees. We need to pull off the whole remove your clothes and like bow down and hope that they can forgive you, because I think like the talent that this showed, the show showed what Goosework has. It's like, please come back. I would really like to see more of what you got in store, because it's very similar to Invader Zim. Like, I know there's some things I don't care for that, but it's just like that, like, middle ground of like, it gets into a more adult theme, but it's also like presented. It's kind of like that whole thing of like, oh, what was that one thing? It's kind of like the Velma meets Velma or whatever, where like Scooby's alienness shows, and it's kind of like, here's the cartoon, but behind it is a horrifying entity. It's like that right there. But it's just like, I would really like to see more. I would really like them to come back like they did with Murder Drones. Like, here's a song, or here's some merch. It might be small and might be a few minutes, but it's nice to see them every now and again. Like, hey, we're revisiting the series for 3 minutes for a song. You get to see them have fun together. Cool. Hey, we're gonna be doing some like merch stuff. We might have a few like things with a certain character. Okay, I'll take it. But it's just, right now it doesn't look good, just because it's very, the dog bit back after it's been served a gourmet meal. It is sort of stupid. But yeah, it's just like how Gooseworks dealt with it, how Glitch didn't kind of like keep things on a chain once they kind of seen that it was going to blow up. They really should have kept they really should have asked the community what they wanted, because I think a lot of people rather have watched it on YouTube, and then like once a theater release came out, even though they watched it, they'll still go watch it. You'll make a lot of money in theaters. It's been shown multiple times that it can happen. So it's just like, maybe releasing it the day of, or the weekend after, you know? That would have been so much better, but I think a lot of things was like, a lot of them were like, we need some time before your release. But it's just, it's so sad what happened to the Digital Circus. It was fun watching it, but it's very Undertale-y. How people like control how you like enjoy it, it's stupid. So let's get into, I guess, let's just kind of like break down how it is, and then kind of like at the very end, some things that I wish they would continue on. So kind of going into it very quickly, it's like we see the aftermath. Everybody's kind of like at each other's throats for a second, then they all disperse. We quickly learn straight up, these aren't humans, these are the digital like scanning, like their memories have been scanned. So this is a NPC with human memories. And they break down, they all go their own ways. And then it's kind of like, they slowly are able to build back together and kind of get a strength going. Like Kinger starts rebuilding the circus, Pomni starts trying to learn and help, and then like little by little, Ragatha, Zubul, Gangle, they all come back again. But very breakneck speed, Jax comes in. Like you can see him on the outskirts, but then he takes a second to try and approach Pomni, but he just he just like it's not worth it. And because Pomni was still in an emotional state, she did not take that chance to grab him, and he abstracts. And for a good amount of that film, it is all about Jax. Trying to figure out what to do about Jax. And then we kind of go into... she learns that... if you remember, I think it's episode 2, Kinger said he was able to sit with his wife and touch her one last time. I think Pomni was trying to take that advice and try it with Jax. And because of the darkness, she was able to kind of enter a mindscape where we get to kind of see how Jax is. We get to see his backstory, what happened to Ribbit. Then we get to meet the actual Jax completely walls down. He gets emotional. Light comes on. We lose him completely. We go kind of like are able to put him in the darkness and try to figure out what to do with him. And then we find out that King is still alive, and he's kind of like watching over them to see what happened. We go back and kind of see what happened. It shows that like he had their mind files. He based the characters based on their mind files. So everyone is basically based on their own like Zubul and Gangle asked, I wonder why we got these avatars. It's because it's their own thing. And Kang was trying to build it based on their preferences. We see this with Scratch. And then we get to kind of like see him break down. Kind of like, he feels betrayed, but yet he also learns it's him who's doing this. Like, they did this for a reason. We see him like break through the walls trying to get back to the circus. He tries to like expand. And then he breaks out of the program and is able to connect to Wi-Fi. And because he has like the files, which are named by the individuals who are the characters, he goes and looks everybody up, kind of like he starts to understand the point of view of why they're all like wanting to go home, the kind of understanding a little bit of what happened. He's seeing their life story and understanding their goals. And he's able to like, because of that, it changes him for the better. He gets rid of the blue AI because he doesn't want to be some overpowered person anymore. He wants to hinder himself for their protection. And because he's so unstable with both of them, he divides from the blue. He approaches them, fixes a few things, and then like he shows a little bit of his mind. He shows them what happened to their human people, the human versions of them. That way they could have some comfort in like their lives going on. And then after that, it's kind of like they build a whole new circus with the humans in mind. We get an aquarium for the abstracted. That way they're in darkness, but they can be interacted with. They're free to like wander. Then like the circus gets built. We get to see Kang slowly like be a part of the interest of the others so he can learn who they are. He's able to like actually befriend them, and then he actually goes on the adventures. So he's no longer just overseeing them, he's being a part of them. That way he can see how it goes, and it's a lot more fun. I think I would really like more. I know this is kind of a side tangent, but it's like I know the Digital Circus crew always made like games and stuff for streams. I think they should continue that because I think it's technically a spiritual continuation of the show, because it's just like this is kind of like what it feels like. You know, Kang is with along the journey of Peak. He's along this thing with like Left 4 Dead and whatnot. It is perfect. And then at the very end, we get a hint, kind of like, even though Pomni like waves goodbye, we get possible continuation with Kane. It looks like he has kept. He's securing the blue AI and hiding it away. And the other issue is he now also knows how to connect to the internet, which means he can like grow as an AI. He can learn based on the real world, and he can collect information from all this other stuff that's basically infinite. Technically, we can have a worse off Kang than we already did, but that's basically how it is. Kind of going into subcategories, I'd say. I say like NPCs and Kane. Let's go with the Circus altogether. We know how it was built. We know how it was CNA. Well, we don't really get into CNA. A lot of people wanted to. I don't think we needed to. I think it's very similar to, I think it was Murder Drones, where they were like, oh, this, human civilization above us who made us and whatnot. It doesn't really matter, because it's like, yeah, they're the creators, but why do I care about the creator of like these things that just like left it? They have aside from being titled the creator, they have no other personal connections to them. They had like that one girl who was like friends with Ann and whatnot, but like in this situation, it's like it's a faceless corporation that Kinger and like the others worked at. They developed an AI by accident. Well, not by accident. They made an AI that made a very powerful program by accident, and like it just kind of kept going and going and going. And based on how it feels like, it looks like they think it might be a failure in human wise, because they just let it go. Because, it wouldn't have existed if they shut it down. Going into, like, NPCs, aside from, like, seeing the fish getting caught, I don't think we got... I really wish we'd seen more about... I would really like to understand more about the sun. I think the sun was one thing I wish we'd learned more about, because we got a little chance at the moon. So, the thing about the moon is... my theory is that in, I think it was episode 6, when Abel was he was starting to gain intelligence. He was building something because he was existing for so long. The moon has been there since day one of the circus. And the thing Kane says before like leaving her is, I never taught you or programmed you to say I love you. I didn't tell you to say that. I didn't tell you to feel that. That's the moon developing feelings. And I think that's kind of showing, I think what the moon is kind of like actually starting to feel. And I really would like to see what happened with the sun. Why is the sun so aggressive? Kane and all, it's kind of like he is straight up one of the better developings of all of this show, because it's kind of like basic programming. Okay, I'm kind of learning emotions and betrayal and whatnot. Like, he's starting to feel emotions, and then like he goes into this whole thing of like lashing out, and then it's like, oh, I went too far. And like he tries, like at first he tries to do something about it to get like revenge. And then he kind of finds the material he needs to kind of understand it all, which an AI would go searching for. Because it's like, like Kane was going into his whole spiel, like, why? Why did this happen? Like, why don't they love me? Why don't they care about me? Why would they try to kill me? And then it's like, oh, because I pushed their buttons too hard. I went over the fence and broke the dang thing on the way over. He learns. He of course still needs to learn more because he only has about a few inches into the ground of information at this point. But I think he could definitely learn a lot more when he's adventuring with them and interacting with them. The only things that I really wish we learned more about is why did Bubble glitch out so badly? Is that because very similar to the sun and the moon, he was one of the day ones, and him being so unhinged and all over the place that he took so much information that he was just all over the place. And then the other one is the blue. Is Bubble supposed to be representative of the blue? And then we only just learned about the blue last episode, and then now it's oh, well, I'm gonna get rid of the blue. And then at the very end of the credits, I'm keeping the blue. It's can we learn about the blue? Does this blue have its own conscience? Because it's kind of in episode 7, it shows that the blue is technically I wouldn't call it a 2.0 Kane, but it's technically it has a better structure of code to build itself on because it has a better creative process than Kane did. Kane was jagged all over there, wacky, where the blue is here's what you asked for. Here's what it is. He would actually do what AI is supposed to. Is all right, here's the information I took. Here's what I could provide. Versus Kane, where it's just oh, I want to mess with it. Here you go. Here's my own rendition of it. Which, yes, that's better of an AI, but it's kind of that's not what they asked for. So yeah, I wanted to know more about the sun, Bubble, and the blue. Kind of going into the characters, I guess Gangle. I don't really know what you could have done more with Gangle. Gangle is probably the most passive of the characters ever. I mean, the only thing that I really hated was we kept seeing this in the fast food episode, she gets hit by a car. In episode 7, she has this huge getting hit by a car trauma. And then in the end of the episode, when they're explaining the lives of the characters, apparently, I don't know how, Zubul and Pomni make sense because they went into the abandoned building and put on the VR, but basically it sounds like Gangle got hit by a car, was in the hospital, was able to heal from their injuries, and continue on. So it's when was they able to be put in the VR? Was because they're in bed, they can't do anything, so here's a VR system to keep you entertained. It's kind of weird, but because that means Gangle was put in after the accident, so it's what? That's the only one I was kind of I kind of want more context. I also wish they gave it its own thing, its own bubble of time. I really wish instead of episode 7 and 8 being one movie, I think they should have done the movie's worth of just episodes. Am I saying it wrong? Is it supposed to be episode 8 that the whole problem? I just think a part 1 and part 2 finale in one movie would have been cool, where it's just you go into the deep of the characters. Next off would be probably Zubul. This whole thing about I think it's like body dysmorphia, or like the whole thing of like, I think it's like the Barbie ideal where like you have to have perfection, or you have to have it like there's something wrong with you, but you can't really understand what it means. And while what their whole body is built on is because Zubal's human, real life IRL self made a bar and called it, I think it's the triangle bar, which means her shape design is based on what she wants for a business. And the whole thing, it turns out, is they did come out as non-binary, I think, for a while now, but it's like confirmed them. And it's like, okay, that's cool. So I guess that would understand the body issue. Like, what do I want to do? And then the last thing I'd say about both Gangle and Zubul is they confirm they're a thing. So it's hinted for a very long time. And even in the finale, they're like, during the whole Jax thing, when they're in the when Pomni's in the mindscape, they see, I think it's 3 scenarios where it shows what if Gangle abstracted, what if Ragatha abstracted, and what if Zubul abstracted. And in the Gangle abstraction, there's like a heart, like a note with a heart on it, and straight up is like, "You killed the only person I ever loved, I'll kill you too." It's like, is that confirmation? And then straight up, "I'm sorry. I'm not gonna hold it back. I ain't getting bleeped." They got the sex update. They had to. I don't think it was. I think it was probably like just making out. But in the credits, Ragatha's going by Zubul's room. There's hearts coming off of it. So it's I think it has like noise, and like she gets embarrassed and runs across it, and Gangle's door is wide open. It's like, "What you doing in there? Sounds like you've gotten quite the update." So that's cool. We finally got to see that. I think, let's rip off Kinger, I guess. So like, I think his is the most open, and like everyone knew what was happening with him. I think the only thing we really learned is like him and his wife is still together. They have 2 daughters. He's a good guy. And like, I really don't think there's much with Kinger. The only thing I was wondering at the very end is I don't know if they were able to find a way for him to not have the bucket on his head and keep his sanity. Because like in the credits, he doesn't have the bucket anymore and he's going on the adventures. And I think his eyes are bigger, so I wonder if he's like, they let him back go into like his subconscious and whatnot. So that's really it. It's kind of like, I think with Gangle and Zubul, I want them to have their own time. Kinger, I think he did okay. I mean, I still wish I knew at the end, did they find a way? I think in the next ones, I think Ragatha and Pomni were done the best, because I think it's kind of like Pomni didn't have a lot going for her aside from like she made friends, she's still making videos. She's like the support character. Ragatha, she is the person who kind of does stuff to make up for people, but her IRL self was able to make friends properly. She cut ties with her mom completely, and she's doing good as a real estate agent. So it's like, oh, okay, so she made herself, made a thing for her own self. So basically, it sounds like Pomni and Ragatha become self-reliant people in IRL, and like they support one another, and like alongside the Gangle and Zubul stuff, it's like instead of like the sexual tension. It was the lesbian tension this entire episode, because it's like before they go and deal with abstracted Jax, they're just like, "What you doing over there? I know I got to go deal with like an abstraction, but like I'm still looking at you." It's like, do you want to do the update too? So I don't know what they were doing with those two. It was a little weird. I think it was like the long gaze was supposed to be their confirmation that they're together. Or at least like not an item, but more of like they're supportive in multiple ways. And then who's the last thing? Gangle, Zubul, Kinger, Ragatha, Pommy. So we have our base guy, Jax. So in this episode, Jax abstracts. And basically we kind of get to see his backstory, why he came into this. We learn his whole relationship with Kathmo and Ribbit, and then we kind of show him just slowly dissociate. I think Jax's character was annoying for most part, but I think his build up to this huge just trauma dump is perfect. And while there is no reason to forgive him, or like, I mean, you still feel bad for him because like his actions still were crap, but what happened before is like, what? So it's kind of weird. So it looks like basically his parents had a very estranged relationship. His dad was straight up like an abuser, because it's just like, he basically treated him like the scum, like, well, not scum of the earth, but like he wasn't worth any of his time or any of his energy. And it's kind of like not treating him as his own son. His parents get divorced. He never sees his dad again. It sounds like he passed away. I think a thing we do see is like, we do like a flash of him in multiple outfits. We see him in like a military outfit. I think his dad really wanted him to go like boarding school or whatever. Or whatever it's called, like when you're sending your kid to like get trained army style. I think that's kind of like what the father wanted for him. And then like his mom had a very weird, like, I don't know what was wrong with this woman, because it's like she missed the man, but then like the things that she hated the most took out on her son. So it's like she wanted Jax to be the man he was, so be the like let's say his dad was the military man. She wanted him to have the respect and the responsibility, but their own relationship, it's like any little flaws Jax would have had, this is what your father did, you're gonna turn out the same way. And then it was weird. A lot of people are saying the conversation, so last time before he goes off and runs off, him and his mom have a talk, and Jax says it's a very personal, very deep conversation, and at the end she laughs, then like fires back, and then like it all ends in like a hug. And because of that, he was he was confused. Why are we, like, you just insulted me and you're still hugging me? And he pushes her and she doesn't get up. So it's either he killed his mom, or Ribbit, who he's telling this to, is like, the cops didn't come for you, so I'm guessing she's fine. I think in like at the very end when they're showing the IRL people, when they get to Jax's like quick section, It's like him doing a package or something. I think that may have been his mom, like, kind of showing that she is fine. Not to mention Jack's still having a job. He goes to Zubal's bar. It's like, that means he got off. He wasn't getting searched for. So I think she's fine. Either that or like they did come after him, but it's just like it was an accident. And like, while he like needs to be controlling of his emotions, it's fine. The issue with that is what could have happened based on the context of the situation is it sounds like basically Jax is like, I need you to explain what's happening between me and you. I need you to explain like it's kind of like they kind of get into a whole thing about their whole situation with their family dynamic. I think that's what Jax was doing, but the issue is a lot of people are saying because there's the maid outfit, and then there's also Ribbit puts her bow tie on his ear, and it really sounds like in those contexts that Jax may have been a transgender, and it's like, okay. I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch because we don't get too much evidence screaming it, but it's there, and like that would also go with the context. But I really think it's kind of just like, I mean, I think the laughing, then going into, getting angry at him, I think that would be more of an understanding. Like, hey, I know you wanted, like, I'm supposed to be the man of this, but, like, I'm feeling more bonita. It's like, yeah, back then it was, like, more like, I'm sorry, you want to do what? It's like, that is kind of what you would expect of, I think they were saying this was in the 90s or 80s, based on, like, the graphics of the game. But it's like, okay, I mean, I understand it a little bit there. So I guess I would like to see, I would want more context of what happened between them. And when, during they get guns episode, he pushes Pomni away, he like shakes his hand. A lot of people say, he feels bad. No, he's having a flashback of pushing his mom down. That is what is happening. He is freaking out that he thinks he did it again, where he pushed someone down and they're not going to get back up. That's what he thinks he did. I'm trying to think of the other things. And then like he drives away. He gets in. He goes. Finds himself. He's homeless. He finds himself into the digital circus. Ribbit, Kaufmo, and Ragatha and Kinger are there to, bring him in. And like, Kaufmo, him, and Ribbit are like best friends. Ragatha is more hanging with Kinger, but like hangs around and kind of like, she's like she's the lingering friend that kind of goes from person to person to kind of get like best help everybody. Well, Kaufmo and Jax, it really looks like they're funny friends. They're like the bros of like, oh man, you suck. And then like as soon as Ribbit abstracts, they kind of just like Kaufmo tries to approach him, but they part ways. Kaufmo comes with the whole exit door thing, and he like shoves him off. And having like an old friend of yours not even care about the exit and calling you crazy, I guess that's what happens on episode 1. Like, there's no one else to turn to, no one else believes me, and this exit is driving me crazy. And he goes and abstracts. And then we kind of see a lot of like the speed run of like a lot of the events. But the biggest thing that happened in episode 1 we didn't get to see is right after Kaufmo abstracts, like he like we get to see in first person him opening the door and seeing him extracted, and it jumps to him looking at a mirror with a bowling ball he takes right after that, and it's like, oh, we're breaking apart. That was the last part of our sanity. Oh. But I think the biggest thing is Ribbit's relationship with him. If I'm reading it correctly, it really feels like they were love interest. Like they word it as they were best friends, but even Kaufmo and I think Ragatha, like they put a little spice on it. Like, oh, you guys were a little close. And like even some scenes, they blushed after the whole like bow on the ear thing. I really think if Kaufmo did not interrupt them in the middle of their conversation and the whole thing, I really think they would have gotten together. But I think that was the worst moment that happened. So it's like they're meeting, they become best friends, they joke around, they do the bro stuff. Ribbit and Jax get more and more like intimately known, and then it's just like once they feel like they can trust each other, Ribbit comes out that she moved out and just cut ties with her parents, and that's kind of her big reveal. But then like Jax's whole life story comes out, and because this is the first time telling somebody because he was homeless, he had no one to turn to, it's kind of like, oh, I'm hoping this doesn't get out because I don't want to be judged for it. And that's kind of what the whole thing with the Kane crash out is. He didn't want to get, like, the whole thing with everybody surrounding him is like getting made fun of and also kind of like revealing who he is underneath. And definitely Ribbit's holding there is just like, I'm the person you can come to at any point. And it's just like, I think right there was the turning point. It's like, because the interruption, like Jax is like so dark, like he's running around. He wants to tell Ribbit and wants to confide in somebody, but it's also like, are they going to go run off and tell somebody else? But it's also kind of like, they're really trusting of Ribbit right here. And it's like they're about to move on to the next step of if their love interest into actual being an item. And it's just like, if Kaufmo didn't, I think, like the show of affection, if they were love interest, would have like put a stamp on it. And I think Jax would have been fine after that. But because of like Kaufmo interrupting his thoughts and kind of like exploding it, thinking they got caught, it's kind of like, okay, nothing happened. You are not to say ding ding, or like I will completely banish you from my life into the shadow realm with you, mind to break. That's the whole thing. And then it's just like, because he wanted to keep Ribbit at a distance, he basically was like, nothing happened, stop talking to me, we have nothing to talk about. Basically the whole shtick with Pomni. And it came into a eruption between the two at the snow world we saw in the Abel episode. And it's just like, that was the confrontation of like, hey, we really need to talk because I want you back in my life. I want you to understand I'm still here for you, but I need to know what I did wrong. And Jax straight up was like shutting it down, and then reveals the nasty like mental image he has of the whole situation. And it's just like, Ribbit's like, are you serious? That you trust me so little that you think I would just run off with one of your biggest secrets? And basically it sounds like he like ripped out her heart, threw it on the ground, spit on it, and just grinded into the ground as he was like putting slurs and insults into her face. And it's just like, that right there was like, left her with so little. And like the last little bits was just like, showing that he like once Jax was like trying to interact more with Ragatha and stuff. That was the last little shreds of like he doesn't even want to do anything with me. That made her abstract. Of course, Kaufmo was trying to push him to go and see her. Jax wanting to, but he puts it off so many times. He even goes and gets like that cafe they show in the Kane Crash Out episode. They were going there every single week, and he goes there, and literally the last chance he had, right after that, she comes out abstracted, and he comes and sees the door with the X. And then it's like running through the whole Kaufmo and then meeting Pomni. I think Jax was done the best because he had so much to tell. The only thing I really wish is, well, I don't even know. I think this was the best way to show a lot of Kaufmo in Ribbit. I think the only ones I'd really like to see more is the original crew. I would have loved to see more Queenie. I would have loved to see more of the original like programming crew come in. I think that might be a good special, kind of showing the original crew, the first comes, kind of get used to it, kind of learn what happened, because they're the people who know what this is, and they're like wondering about, trying to figure out what's happening, how to escape. They're the smartest crew that's going to deal with this, and it's just, I would like to see kind of them over time break down, and I would like to see what happened to them to lose them. Because it's like everybody else kind of like, they got left alone. They were emotionally put through the ringer. And it's just like, why? Why would, this big crew of people they trust lose one another? And not to mention Kinger being one of the most resilient people. It's like, what's happening here? So yeah, I think that's really it though. Because it's like, so the pilot, not much there. Episode 1, the Candy Kingdom. I think we did get to see a little bit in the Kane Crash Out, kind of like the fudge going around eating everybody. I would really like Ragatha to go in there and kind of meet with Lou. Episode 2, the Mildenham, the manor. I think they showed the ghost in the credits to spook Kang, but I don't think there's anything really worth there saying. Episode 3, we'll see, Spudsies. Aside from like giving Gangle time, we did get to see like worker Gangle in the Jax stuff. Trying to think what else. So I think this was episode 9, right? Because it was. I'm trying to find it. Oh, it looks like Glitch is confirming that there's a future. So that's cool. So yeah, episode 9. They updated. They said episode 1 was the pilot. So episode 1, 2, 3, 4. The guns. Abel. Crash Out. Finale. Which one am I missing? Oh, the run-through episode. Okay. I think they got through most of it. It's just like small stuff. Small stuff was the only thing I think they left unanswered. So I think they did pretty good. But anyways, I'm really tired, but I'm just like the having to run through this last second just to kind of like make sure something comes up. But all right, that was my thoughts. I would give this like an 8 out of 10. So yeah, it's just like the Sun, the original crew. I would like to have a more bubble for Gangle and Zooble. I kind of wanted to see more of the circus, because like they were like, here's the fairgrounds, here's the digital lake, and while we had like little bits and pieces in the lake, I really wish they did more. Trying to think what else. What happened to Bubble? What's happening with the blue? Really, that's really about it. So I think the biggest two, yes, Zooble and Gangle aside, definitely needed to, what's happening with the blue AI and what was the purpose of like the Sun and Bubble, like these long standing NPCs. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.